So I can basically categorize guys into one of three categories, and I'm sure all your players will fall into one of these three categories. First one, I call them the Tony Tryhards of the world. Okay, they do everything with 100% intensity. This is a guy that goes balls to the walls every rep, every time. You never have to worry about them doing it. You know that they're going to do extra every single day, right? They do more than what's asked of them. You don't count how many reps on, because they're more likely to do more reps than you ask of them than less. Okay? Every day of their life is a heavy day, right? They are pushing their bodies to the extreme every single day. Okay? And we think some guys think this is really good because I'm really getting after it every single day. I'll show you in a minute why that's not a good thing. Okay? Then I call these the Dylan do-nothings of the world. They do just enough to look like they're doing it, right? They're the guys that you're counting the reps and you tell them to do 10 and they're doing 6. And they're kind of peeking around, seeing if you're watching. If they catch your eyes, they'll crank out their last 4. If they didn't catch your eyes, you know that they would be stopped right there. Okay? Like I said, just enough to get by. Every day of their life is a life day. That's my cat Mookie. Every day of his life is a light day. Okay? He's a 17-pound tabby cat. Should weigh probably more like 13 pounds. But every day of his life is easy. And then we have the mediocre mats of the world. They do exactly what you ask of them. Nothing more, nothing less. Right? They're ho-hum. Right? Every day of their life is just kind of a medium day. Right? Just nice, easy, nothing really extreme, nothing light, right? They're just kind of average. So why is cycling important? Well, cycling is important because it protects the overachiever and it protects the minimum daily requirement guy, okay? It protects them both, right? I'll explain here in a minute here why that's, or what it looks like, but if you just, every day is a heavy day, you're going to eventually break, and if every day is a light day, you're never going to create stimulus, right? Because the name of the game, and if you understand about anything about these principles, Davis' laws, Wolff's law, and said principle, the name of the game is stress management, okay? We have to stress the tissue enough to make it grow, right? That's the only way tissue grows, right? That soft tissue, muscle tissue, right? That's the only way it grows is to stress it. But if we stress it, if I just throw you in the deep end, right, there's obviously that chance that you don't swim or if I stress you too much, you get hurt. So the name of the game is all about stress management for us as coaches, right? I have to stress them enough to create the soft tissue to grow, but I can't stress you so much that you get hurt, right? And if I do too much in a short period of time, it's going to be it'll be too much stress, and that's when you get hurt. But this concept really isn't new. At first, when I was doing my research on it, I came by the name of a guy by the name of Charlie St. Francis. He was the athletic sprint coach for the Canadian team back in the 80s. He coached Ben Johnson to a couple gold medals. And this is where I first read about the concept when he was doing it in the 1970s. I'm sure it may predate him, but this is where I first learned about it and first introduced it. Okay? So what we have here in that green line is called homeostasis. Homeostasis is where the body's at right now. Okay? Wherever your body is at, whatever system you want to talk about, your muscular system, your cardiovascular system, it's just wherever it's at right now. So homeostasis. And if you don't introduce any kind of training system, over the course of time, it's just going to stay the same, right? We introduce a training stimulus, right? In that short period of time, we actually go down for a little bit, right? So this is not an ideal time to perform, okay? But we have to introduce that training stimulus right there so that we can create growth, right? But in the short term, we're going to see a little bit of drop off in performance, okay? And we trade that off because we know with an adequate recovery time period, we're going to come back to a level. But actually what happens is, since the body doesn't like this aspect of going backwards or going down, it actually goes into what Charlie called supercompensation, okay? And what happens is the body it performs above what your normal homeostasis, right? And that's the ideal place to perform, right? We're going to perform better than what we are actually capable of because our body is overcompensating. It doesn't like this downward trend, okay? So it overcompensates. And then, again, given a little bit of time, right, it will come back down to regular homeostasis, all right? And this is what kind of the overtraining I was talking about. So we train, we recover, but then we go hard again, we try to recover, we train again, we try to recover, right? This is what an overtraining will type look like. A guy who's just beating himself into the ground day after day after day after day, and they start to get sick, right? And they don't. And the more we do this, right? 2 summers ago, we had a young man. I think his first couple weeks, he pulled down 95, 96. He was a college guy, going to play at a Division I school, working hard. He'd come back in after everybody else, come lift weights, and I would watch him do it, and I'm like, man, you're pushing yourself really hard. There's one day, he put basically all of our weights on our sleds and tried to was pushing it around the facility. I'm like, dude, you're doing way too much. Okay? Guess what happened to his velo by week 7? He was pulling down 84, 85 because his body wasn't there. His body wasn't in a position to recover. Right? He was living life over here. Okay? But he just felt like he had to maximize his time. He was like, I've got dreams of getting drafted. I need to get better. Right? Well, dude, you're not giving yourself enough time. So what we did was we literally had him do nothing for a week, like a whole week of like he didn't do anything. Why? Because once you hit this point, the only thing we can really do is try to get you to recover and institute very low stimulus stuff to get you back to full strength. Okay? It'll eventually come back, but it just takes time. It was like a 3-week process for us. By the last week, I think we got him back up to like 91, 92 on a pull down, right? Still wasn't right, but it just happened. If you get, and this is why overtraining is so hard, so dangerous, is because if you live your life like that, it just takes so much time to get you back. So yeah, you can get you feel like you're working hard for a week or 2 weeks, right? But it may take you 3 or 4 weeks to just get back to normal because your body, you've worn your body out so much like that. All right.